Hey, everybody, and welcome back to For the Booze.
For the burr.
Yes, it is freezing down here.
Little baby Megan over here. So cold.
It's freezing, and I'm out of breath from doing jumping jacks trying to stay awake.
All right. So this is gonna be this is gonna be a good one. Kind of.
I have no idea what is going on right now.
I didn't want to tell you what we were doing because I didn't want you to dispute it.
I fully anticipated doing a normal episode.
Well,
and he says, no reading. And I said, what are we doing? He was like, I'm not telling you.
Well, I mean, it's no secret. We've been setting up to do YouTube videos, which honestly,
it's been proving difficult.
We're struggling. We finally have it figured out.
Kind of.
I mean, we do for the most part.
Kind of.
For the most part.
It'll be rough in the beginning.
It's fine. And I had some ideas for a regular episode, but, you know, there are things that we have set out for on this podcast that once we set them up, we have to keep going. And unfortunately for us, the saga of Cody and Satori just never ends.
Oh, my God.
Just never ends. So that's why I didn't want to tell you about it. And, I apologize to everybody. I thought we would be done talking about these people for a while. It just seems like the more we don't want them to say anything else, they say more. And more.
And more.
It is so depressing. But, we started it and we'll see it through. I mean, it's not it's not what we want to do per se, but we have to see it through. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to listen to and comment on the Project Fear video, which I wanted to give it a little while before we covered it because I don't want, I wanted their video to get the traction that it gets before we, use it.
Okay.
But we're going to comment on some of this stuff. Now, Beardo on YouTube, and pretty much everybody else has done a video on it. Go watch them. They're very informative, and you're probably going to hear a lot of the same stuff from us. But we all know who Cody and Satori are, unfortunately. And
we know who they are, yes.
It's I mean, at this point, I don't even care I don't even want to try to be nice anymore, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
There's just no point.
Okay.
But Project Fear, they came under a lot of fire for having them on their channel after the whole Sam and Colby debacle.
Right.
And, people weren't as receptive to the Project Fear video as I'm sure that they were hoping. But unfortunately for them, they actually filmed their video first. It just didn't come out till afterwards.
They kind of had it on a back burner kind of thing.
And I get it. You want to use your footage. We haven't even watched the Project Fear one. From what I understand.
Their actual investigation video.
Yeah. But from what I understand, it's almost a carbon copy of the Sam and Colby. It is almost the exact same thing. Right? There's tears and the whole nine.
Okay.
Ow. Did it get you again?
Dude, it's the third time. Stupid microphone keeps shocking me. Right on my chin.
So we're going to jump into this. We're probably not going to play this in its entirety for you guys. I mean, we're going to watch it all the way through, but we're going to be stopping a lot to give our opinions on a lot of the stuff. We have watched this already.
We have.
We watched it when it came out.
A little over, I think, a 30-minute video.
Yeah, it's about, let's see, it is about 33 minutes, and it's been out for 2 weeks now, so it's had enough time. I mean, how many people have watched this? A lot. I can't find it because I'm not used to being on YouTube on my computer. I'm used to doing it from my phone, but we're moving up in the world. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about these guys, and it's going to be interesting. Hopefully we'll lend some opinions that people haven't heard yet, but I guess we'll find out.
Okay.
So you ready to go for this?
You
don't have much of a choice. We're at this point, it's happening.
All right. Let's do it.
Now we are in New Jersey, and we are attending the New Jersey Para-Unity Convention. And it's been about a month since we filmed at the Conjuring House. We did the video, and you guys hadn't had the Sam and Colby video out.
Yeah.
They just came out with their video like 2 weeks ago, and you guys have had so much like attention. But obviously, with what happened with you guys, you're gonna have people who are just trying to debunk it,
Yes.
So I think at some point we'll get to that, some of the heavy hitting questions, some of the conspiracies out there about like what the skeptics are saying about your abilities. So we'll get to that. For anyone watching who doesn't know, you got to go back and watch our last 2 videos. But we kind of labeled it as the cast method.
I think I'll pass on that.
Method.
Yeah.
The knocking method is what kind of Sam and Colby called it.
Can you come down here? Can you come to this floor?
This is nothing new. It's what we're all accustomed to at this point with, Cody and Satori. They're just recapping. We're going to skip over this. We're going to go into... I want to get to some of the questioning. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but we're going to skip over this. This is...
Just a kind of a recap on how they do...
It's incredibly redundant. We've talked about it. They're tapping, communicating.
Yeah.
Their CAS message or method, as Project Fear has given the moniker of. The Cody and Satori, the CAS, whatever.
Listen, you just said that, and I thought it was more, I don't know, more than just a smashing their names together.
No, that's literally
kind of
what it
thing.
stands for.
Oh my God. Okay.
Rolling taps before she even got involved, and like how long were you even a part of it? Like what year did you start taps?
Right. So when Jason Hawes founded TAPS in 1990, way before Ghosthunters even came out in 2004. Once the show came out, of course, there was an influx of cases from around the world. So there was 2 branches of TAPS kind of formed: the production side of TAPS, and then the non-televised cases of portion of TAPS. And that was called the TAPS Home Team. And that's the part that I ended up becoming a part of. Once Satori came into the picture, and we started working together, then we ended up on the production side of TAPS as well.
And when was your very first participation with any group? When did you get into the paranormal?
2011.
Wow.
And how about you? When did you get into the paranormal?
I was investigating my house before I could ever do anything like
Now, I think this is a good little spot to stop for a second, because he goes into talking about how there were 2 different sides of TAPS, which I'm sure there were, and that he was a part of it. And he says, about 11 years ago. And this brings up about they're going to talk about it, but the video where he's doing the CAS method by himself. So I guess it's the C method.
Just the part.
It's the C method. So I find that very interesting. And I would skip over this, but I want everybody to hear his explanation of this, right? Because they have strongly stood by this idea that this is their method, and they did it when they figured it out when they met each other, and
together their powers united.
Yes, with great power comes actually no responsibility whatsoever with this scenario. So let's see what else I gotta say.
2018.
You guys obviously have this connection, but why do you guys think, have you guys asked the question, why this is happening to you guys specifically, or why this is, what it is about you two that is making this thing actually happen? Because you guys have said before, when we've talked, that you guys have, grabbed other hands of people and it doesn't work.
Yeah, we definitely don't think we're the only ones, for sure. Since Sam and Colby's videos have come out, we've been contacted by people who have been trying this and saying that they're starting to get little results. But I just think when this is just my opinion, when certain living energy works together really, really well. So I don't think we're just singled out. It definitely seems that maybe it's a little more direct with us for some reason, and we just don't know why.
Right.
We are taking it very seriously, though. So, we, make certain rules for ourselves, things that we can't do. We can't take money from the people directly that we're helping with this method of communication. We're also acknowledging that the only reason we feel that we have this is for the sole purpose of helping other people. So it's not for us, and the only thing we can do is help other people with it. So, that's kind of the things that we've developed with it as well.
I know, like, we grew up in a haunted house, and like one of the things.
So that's another big thing is we've talked about this before. They swear that they don't make money off of this or whatever, and that's not true because we looked it up ourselves, and they are basically for hire, and they get paid to do this at the Conjuring House.
Right. So you say you don't make money off any of this, so you're saying basically you do things pro bono, but yet you make money.
Yeah, and you're getting money for being on TV.
So
from taps.
how does that work? I don't get it.
None of it makes a lot of sense.
No.
I don't know what else to say for that.
Did you ever like watch?
Oh yeah, absolutely, Ghost Hunt for sure. And I emailed Taps, finding out.
Oh, here's this story.
Finding out that they were in the next state over. Of course, I was 16 years old, 15 or 16 years old, and I was like, I just found out, you're in the next state over. I would love to just come and learn about the equipment, and I don't have to be part of the team, but I would love to. And they emailed back, they're like, no, we're good.
So your dad, Jason Hawes, he's a huge figure in the paranormal. He's literally like started this. If you're into the paranormal, you know Jason Hawes.
Yes.
So like, what does your dad think of these abilities that you guys have?
Okay, all right. So, my dad at first was very skeptical, which obviously I even was. So that makes perfect sense. Be skeptical. My dad was like, okay, how is this happening? Are they finding information? Things like that. Obviously, he doesn't want to assume that about me, but obviously he's going to look into it because he's Jason Hawes. So we started doing sessions and things, and then things would start happening. Like he would witness private sessions, and people would be crying because they found out information that you can't search up on the internet. Like we were confirming things that happened in privacy. It went from skepticism to he's definitely like, I don't know how it's happening. It's happening. You can't disprove it. He's tried. And so whatever is working, keep going. Like, keep doing it. So he's very supportive of it. He's like, definitely not my thing, but it's working for you, paving your own way, do it. So he's very supportive. My family's very supportive.
Now, I want to believe that Jason Hawes believes this, but I don't. I really don't.
I feel like there's a lot of people that say that they do and say that they have their full support, and her father being one of them. But like watching this interview, if any of you go and watch this interview, just watch like Alex's face while he sits there the entire time.
He looks so unimpressed.
He is just, I don't even know how to explain it.
He has the look on his face of a man who's like, he knows none of this is real.
He's just like, yeah.
They got backed into a corner. This is why they had to make this video.
Right.
Because they needed to clear their name. So,
I don't know. It's crazy.
Jason Hawes, early Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson, they were like my paranormal heroes. If
100%.
If not for them, I wouldn't be doing all of this, right? I want to believe that he doesn't know that it's fake, but unfortunately I have to I have to come to realize that I just don't believe that. I think he knows. So
2 weeks ago, Sam and Colby's videos come out. You guys get all this exposure, hundreds of thousands of people following you now.
Yes.
And obviously with that, you have people that are going to hate, and they're hating and they're hating. So like, what does your dad think about this newfound like kind of fame, really?
The spotlight.
And then B, like, what does he tell you, or what's his advice when you do get these haters or these skeptical people like trying to debunk you?
Yeah.
Well, my dad is very proud of me. I've definitely expressed to him that I'm very stressed out by this sudden change. But he's like, you gotta keep rolling with it. It was supposed to happen. Like, he's very supportive on that end. My family, being in the paranormal field our entire lives, are used to, you're gonna get a lot of love and you're gonna get some hate. So don't pay attention to the hate. So that's what we've done. We don't listen to that, because if it's meant for you, it'll help you. If not, move right along. It's not meant for you. It's not something we
Some
care.
of it's been quite comical, to be honest.
It's been kind of funny.
We've gotten a laugh out of some of it. Just some of the theories that people are coming up with, like we're aliens and...
Yeah, we were joint popping, and I'm like, Cody had cancer. If he popped a joint, it wasn't going back. Like, like things like that.
Being on the outside looking in, though, I must say, when you experience it, whether it's in person or through the TV, like, there are so many questions that do come to mind. So I feel like asking questions is like a good thing.
Yeah.
Because like we all have them, right? And if you're watching it through the TV and you don't have the ability to actually ask those questions, like they're just gonna stir in your mind. Like we have the luxury of actually sitting with you.
Honestly, like that's the difference I think of this video is like this all kind of happened in the last couple weeks. All these people have these theories and stuff, so this is like it's good just to like let's talk about it.
Yeah.
One question is like the rules, like who makes the rules?
That's a good question. I don't think we know.
Okay.
So the first night that we really figured this out, when we established communication, they just came across with all of this stuff.
Yes. Sternly. Maybe it was somebody from the rule department that had to come and be like, all right, this is what you got to worry about.
Just a question about the rules too. So it seems like, you know, in Sam and Colby's video when they were going over it, and even to us, you've said that it's kind of about messages, like these spirits are only meant to come give messages and then kind of leave. Why is Abigail different then? She's there and she's facilitating these conversations. She's not necessarily just giving messages, but she's helping facilitate that. Is there a difference between some spirits?
You know, it's funny because like if you've ever watched Project Fear or Destination Fear, and you listen to Alex, right? He is so different right now.
He is.
He is.
Oh my God.
So different.
It's crazy the difference from everything you have ever seen of him on shows, interviews, anything, to how he is sitting right here at
He's
this
usually
table.
like very high energy and like super into it, but for some reason, he is just checked out.
Yes.
I guarantee
that is a great phrase for it.
That question was given to him, like, you have to ask this question, because he looks so unentertained. Like he could just do anything else right now and he'd be fine with it. Like,
and we haven't watched their videos specifically, but from what we've heard and seen, he is that way in this video too, in their actual video. So I don't know. Food for thought, maybe.
It's just nuts. But I guess we're about to get into the how did you guys realize you do this? Which is, you know, we've heard kind of like the short form version of it, but they're going to get into like the long form story. So let's hear what they have to say, because I'm sure we have some thoughts on this.
I think because that was her house. And I think depending on the location you go to, like if we went to your house or you know, where your grandfather lived, it would be a different story, you know, because that's a location that's connected to them and they probably visit very frequently.
I just want to ask about like the alphabet method. Like, first of all, who started it?
Can I take credit for the alphabet thing?
Yeah.
Because I think it was me. I was like, hey, can we spell out things? And that's how we got the how is this happening? How is this possible? And to be quite honest, I totally stole the idea from a Ouija board. I was like, let's be a human Ouija board, you know, and see if we could do it. And
when was that moment?
That was the overnight when we first figured out it was a couple months after we met. And we were at an overnight case, and that's where we had somebody come through and be like, how is this possible? And that's when we had the rule thing happen and all that.
Yeah, I think Satori won that one for sure.
I guess we'll get right into some of the online questions / conspiracies. So it's been weeks. There's Reddit pages. There's TikTok pages.
I just wanted to hop in here and say that Cody, after that question and her taking credit for that, seemed quite upset.
It seemed like a very strange interaction.
Yes.
It was, I don't know. It's one thing to hear it, but I encourage you to watch this, even if you despise all this as much as we do. Because to hear it is one thing, but then to see the mannerisms and stuff of everybody while this is going on, it is so strange.
It is.
It is so strange because they're trying to like convince us all that, you know, all this is real. But then when you're watching it, it seems like daytime television, or I don't know. Something feels really off about everything between both sides of this. Yeah. It's very strange.
And knowing the things that we know already and how Cody did this before he even met Satori and did the A, B, C, D.
Yeah, the exact same
he did this
method.
alone by himself before he even met her.
Verbatim.
And she's like, can I take credit for this? And he just had this instant change.
Yeah, like I don't think he's happy about it, but he has to go along with it because this is the story that they've been saying. So,
spinning the web.
She seems all right. So Cody, we're gonna set the scene for you, right? Cody seems super uncomfortable the whole time. Mm-hmm. He looks like he wants to throw up or something.
Yeah.
And then Satori is just like
thriving.
She loves this attention.
Thriving.
She cannot get enough of it. She is just enjoying this. So it all comes across so weird.
It does.
So weird.
People saying things.
I don't want to look. I haven't been looking.
You guys haven't been you guys haven't looked at what some people are speculating is going on?
We haven't ourselves looked at really anything unless it was brought to us by somebody we know. So we haven't been looking for anything.
So I guess starting off, what have you guys heard that you guys want to talk about? Let's put it in your
right.
The biggest thing is I think, misunderstanding between the financial things. That's what, and also some of how our method is similar to that of the Fox sisters during the spiritualist movement.
So tell us about what that is.
So the Fox sisters were sisters during the 19th century, 1800s. They had started the spiritualist movement that then in turn became the spiritualism, religion.
Shout out to our podcast.
Religion.
Go back and listen to the Fox sisters
that
episode.
they would have rapping noises and knocking noises to direct communication. They would get certain knocks for yes, certain raps for no, and then they became so well known and so famous that they were, ultimately doing, seances, telling people their futures, having meetings with important people to help with communicating with the other side. But there are differences to our method to that of the Fox sisters.
And I think the big thing because the Fox sisters, one of the sisters later in life, admitted, it was just our joints popping and our wrists and our ankles. Yeah. So there's people out there who are saying, well, this is either Cody or Satori's, something in their body, their joints are popping. So what do you say to those people? Because that's one of the biggest theories right now.
Yeah, so the unfortunate thing about film is you can't convey direction very well. When you're in the room in person, at least when Satori and I do this.
This claim has been debunked. Beardo, in his video, he did a very good job explaining this, where that is the most ridiculous statement. Because if you're on a show like Ghost Hunters and stuff, and you're filming with this professional audio equipment, when you listen to some of this stuff, you can actually hear things from the direction that they're coming from because of the recording.
Yeah, as they come across the recording.
He's acting like we're all watching stuff on 2006 YouTube. So, the claims that they make they are just crazy. They hold no weight whatsoever, and they have no idea what they're talking about, and they came into this very unprepared.
They did, and as far as what Satori said, I do not believe for a second
that she doesn't check every 3 seconds.
Read everything that people say. You are on YouTube. You have been on TV for so long.
Yep.
I do not believe for a second that you do not. The only way you see things is if someone brings them to you. That is a flat out lie.
We have a tiny little podcast, and we check everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of you guys probably don't know this, but back when we first started this podcast, we got a lot of flack from listeners because of the language that we used, right?
The most interaction we have ever had on this podcast
people
came
were upset.
from people being upset about language.
Which is fine. And it helped us kind of, form what we're doing now. But it was negative, but we still looked at it.
Yeah, we read every bit of it.
Exactly. So I don't believe for a second that she is not looking at everything she can find. And when they bring stuff up like this, about how their popularity has blown up, for better or worse, it doesn't matter, but she blows up. She lights up. She is smile ear to ear. She is eating this up. So I'm with you. I don't believe for a second that she is not just all into this. So whatever.
You can hear footsteps coming in from different directions. We've had it coming on the walls before, on the floors above us, below us. So that's one thing that's hard to convey on film. But it's just one of those ridiculous things that it's just unfathomable in our minds that could even be possible for the length of communication that we have and the sound level and everything else. It's just a crazy thought.
When we first started coming out about this, we acknowledged the Fox sisters. We acknowledged that history, that spiritualist religion and the spiritualist movement. If you do your research on their method compared to our method, you will find a lot of differences. There's a lot of conspiracy about them coming out about it being fake, but also if you do your research, you find that they were offered money to do that and they were financially struggling, and then they recanted the statement. So you wonder, was it actually fake? Also, there's different things like you weren't allowed to see under their dresses, supposedly, from some skeptic claims, like their feet under their dresses. You weren't allowed to, they answered questions about the future, accepted money, things like that, if you do your research.
All right, so we have to take a break, but before we go on a break, I want everybody to internalize what she just said there about how the Fox sisters, their methods are exactly the same, for one. But two, I didn't catch this the very first time we watched this because I hadn't seen it at that point. But I've seen this video before. And she said that a big difference between them and the Fox sisters was that the Fox sisters wouldn't let you see under their dress or see their feet.
And
do you remember what comes at the end of this video, what she says?
Who else doesn't let you see their feet?
But do you remember what she says at the end of this video?
I do.
Now, we're not going to give it away for you guys because we want you to hear it, because I'm sure that there are some listeners out here who don't watch YouTube. There has to be. So I'm assuming there's got to be somebody out here who has not seen this video yet. She says something at the end of this video that is going to directly contradict what she just said right now.
Yep.
It is astonishing, but we do have to take a break, so we will be right back.
And now, Booze Crew, back to the video.
All right, let's just jump right back into the Fox Sisters 2.0.
If that's what you're doing, it has to be your wrist, or it has to be like your knee or your foot.
Yeah, that's
the only possible thing. So how do we go about disproving that one day to people? What's the step? Because
how do we go let's cross it off the list, show everybody it's not them doing something.
So we got really big out of our comfort zone to do this experimentation thing with Sam and Colby that we did. And we did what we were comfortable with and what the spirits were comfortable with, because there are some things that we can and we can't do. But the big thing is that I like to look at it like this, for one. If we were to give no way for people to have any sort of skepticism, and they're not meant to believe in this yet, or they're not meant to have these experiences, or they won't take it well, what would happen tomorrow if we proved it for certain?
Then people would think that you're not a liar.
Yeah.
That's what would happen. Yep. People would think that you're not a liar. And the whole thought of them, what they're saying here about people who don't believe just aren't ready to believe. So what you're saying is if everybody doesn't just buy in wholeheartedly to your BS, then that means that we're just not ready to believe. Or could it possibly be that we just see you for what you're doing?
Yeah. And the experiment that they're referring to is
exactly what they do in every other video.
Not an experiment.
It's so stupid. It's the same exact thing that they do in every video.
They just went to a different location and changed shoes, but they still had shoes and pants on.
But it's all just so absurd. It is so absurd that they would continue to do this. They are doubling down.
Yeah, on the same things, the same exact things.
It really does anger me. It really angers me.
You know, like, would that like create chaos? You know, like that's something I'm afraid of, for one. Also, I feel like we did really prove it in any way we could that was within our comfort zone on Sam and Colby. You know, we're not obviously popping our joints or anything. You can see, you know, my arms in the videos.
Yes,
and Cody, again, I like to make this joke. If Cody popped a joint, it wouldn't be going back in because he has really bad bones and joints from cancer.
This is actually quite offensive to a lot of people.
Yes.
You've had family members that have had cancer. Yep. I've had family members that have had cancer. And guess what? Their bones pop just like you and me. This is so stupid. It's so stupid.
I don't know specifically exactly what kind of cancer he had.
He had leukemia. He says it in the video.
Now, if it was a super bone debilitating thing, and yes, chemo does have reactions to your body and things like that. However, it's not the extreme that they are saying.
I'm not taking away the fact that he did have cancer, and
Absolutely
and that
not.
sucks. That is terrible. Nobody should have to go through that.
It does, because you know what? Cancer.
But they're acting like he walks around like a piece of glass.
Right.
And that's not how it is. He's living a very normal life. Mm-hmm. He does have to have, well, he claims, I don't know if it's true. I will give him the benefit of the doubt, but I guess he has to have surgeries from time to time because of his, past cancer issues. But to claim that if you popped your toe, it would just shatter, like that is a very ridiculous thing to say. If that was the case, then why is he walking around?
Right.
Why is he going anywhere?
Why
doing
is he not
anything?
in a wheelchair?
He's not. Yeah. You never see him in a cast or anything like that. Mm-hmm. There's nothing there to make you think that any of this would have any kind of truth behind it. And it's offensive if you're using this as your excuse, as your little mechanism to get away with things. Then it's very offensive to everybody who either has or has a loved one who has gone through cancer and cancer treatment. So
it makes my stomach hurt. I can't.
It is just it's awful.
I have someone going through it right now, and it infuriates me.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Things like that.
Like, what's going on with your bones from the cancer?
I've already had one hip replacement. I'm going to have my second hip replacement this coming February.
Looks like Swiss cheese.
So unfortunately, because of all the treatment and everything, my bones have really deteriorated and stuff. So that's just one of the theories that we kind of laugh about, because it's just, when you're there in person, it's totally different than watching it on camera. So you have the noises for one thing, and then you have the information that comes through, which is the other big thing. We definitely stepped out of our comfort zone completely by, going on videos and things like that. I don't know. It's interesting seeing people's different opinions on it.
Believe it or don't, we're still going to be waking up tomorrow and doing the same thing. So it's just one of those.
Of course you are. It pays the bills.
There's some
but they don't
people,
make money.
This is just a question. They don't even have a theory to it. But the question is like, why does it seem like you're always asking the questions and reciting the alphabet, and then you aren't? Like, is there a reason for that?
No, it's just because I do most of the talking. Like, to be completely honest.
I'm more the quiet one anyway. I mean, I've always been more the quiet. I think I sound very boring.
If people want to see Cody doing the talking and reciting, he can do it. Like, we'll make sure to do it the next time we ever do, if we do it again, for big YouTube or something like that.
I think it's important, because like when I saw that question, the only reason I'm bringing it up, because then I started to think about our footage. I'm like, oh yeah, like you really were talking most of the time.
I go so fast too. That's also something else a lot of people say, like, you go through the alphabet and talk so fast. I'm like, because I want to get as much as I can out in such a short amount of time.
Okay, so what you guys do is obviously like altruistic. It's good.
Yes.
You believe it's fully like created for good.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And there's also like this element that you guys were talking about, or at least you were talking about, Satori, that like you don't want people to like have the ability to disprove every single thing. Don't you think though, like if people could just disprove everything, like all that whole list, if we had a list of things and you could just check them all off and people were like, yes.
I don't think people would. I mean, there's some individuals out there that no matter what you show them, they're still not going to.
I could have a spirit sit
we
right
could do
here
this
next
for
to
days.
me, and
we have we've done it. We've been there and done it.
This is like the first decent question that's been asked this entire video. And she makes a really good point why not just do what they're asking?
Right.
And it would make all of this disappear. And now they're going into this like, oh, we've done it. We've showed people. Well, then why can't you show the rest of us? You made this decision to bring this to a national audience, worldwide audience. And now, because people are calling you out on it, now you decide, we're not going to show you how we're doing it. None of this makes any sense.
They go on to say here shortly and bring it up. They touch on it briefly, but that they have shown people in private, and if those people want to come forward,
they can.
They can.
And
to disprove.
I love some of the lines they use where they're like, "Well, maybe we'll show you in the future if we ever do one of these videos again."
But they've been doing videos for years doing this. Years.
He was doing videos like not for TAPS, but he was doing his own like investigation videos.
Yeah.
She was on TAPS way before she ever, figured out her scheme.
They started doing this together on TAPS.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, this isn't new.
No.
This isn't anything new. It's just when you watch things on TV and you're like, this is stupid. This isn't true. You don't care. It's on TV, whatever. You forget about it. But people on YouTube are different. They have this ability to, in real time, make comments that you're going to see.
And question things.
And they do. Mm-hmm. YouTube is really good about that. I mean, YouTube is pretty obnoxious for a lot of other things. There's a lot of like attacking people for no good reason and stuff.
Right.
But then there's a good side to it where people, they're seeking out this kind of stuff, but they're also seeking out the truth behind this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good that these people got thrown in front of, this audience who's like, they're just not swallowing it and moving on. They're like, hey,
right.
We came here because there are people on here doing real stuff that aren't getting the attention that people like you are getting, and you're faking it. And if you're not, prove us wrong, and we'll leave you alone about it. And they would, honestly, if they think they have success now, imagine if they showed us all that they're not faking.
Right.
They would be so successful. It would be ridiculous. They wouldn't be able to give money back.
Superstardom.
They wouldn't be able to give money away at that point. It does, none of it makes sense. Another thing that bothers me about this video is I was so excited because I was like, oh, man, I've had my issues with Project Fear because we were one of those people that helped support them get onto YouTube.
After Destination Fear got canceled.
And they kind of let us all down because they turned into all just like all the other fake channels. But I was like, man, they're trying to do the right thing. They're going to interview these guys and ask them all the hard questions. And how far into this video are we? Are
20 minutes in.
We are 20 minutes in, and it has just been softball. Eventually, they will ask a couple hard questions towards the end, but it's very disappointing that they had this opportunity, and I feel like they kind of blew it.
Yeah, agreed.
Because of who she is. Nobody cares who Cody is. I mean, I hate to be like that, but nobody cares who Cody is. But Satori is the daughter of Jason Hawes,
the OG.
He's like the paranormal superstar.
Yeah.
So nobody really wants to like ruffle them feathers, and I get that. But if you want to be legitimate, you have to do the right thing, and it's not always the easy thing.
Yeah.
I would love to come on here and just be like, "This is great. This is all real. Everybody should believe this. We've confirmed that there's real paranormal," but that's not the truth. And I don't care if people get mad at me because I'm talking trash about them. I would be more interested in what the truth is than people liking me, because that's how we started this.
Yeah.
And that's how it will remain. That's how our YouTube channel will be. I'm never going to be apologetic for wanting the truth. And you shouldn't either. Nobody should. What they're doing and how they're exploiting people is wrong, no matter how you look at it.
It is.
It is wrong.
And we've definitely learned that there's some people that you just can't change their mind.
And there are some people, and the reason we say what we say is because there are some people that we have done this for and we've gone out of our way to try to prove ourselves to in a private setting, and it's done more harm than good for them. Like mentally, like they weren't ready for it. Religiously, they weren't ready for it. Like they literally had a negative effect from what we did.
So someone did a little Reddit
I've had a
post
negative
where they were
effect
talking
from
about
what they
Cody
did.
created a company called Tech which is like paranormal equipment, ghost hunting equipment. So there's a theory out there that this could be explaining the knocking noises. Like this guy used to make paranormal equipment.
Really?
Like why? Like what could he be doing? Like maybe like the theory is that you built something since you've made all these pieces of equipment, and that that's what the knocking is. It's an actual piece of equipment.
Looks so uncomfortable when he brings this up.
Yep.
Satori overcompensates with her laugh, but
100%.
then when you see Cody's face, he looks he looks so uncomfortable.
She's just super over the top.
It is just, it's hilarious because I don't think he really wanted to do this, but I want to get right back into this because they're about to go through a couple things, and then I have something I want to say at the end of that.
Cody sold cat balls.
I made 2 pieces of equipment that I never sold. It was just me and my friend Dustin Perry. We made some, pieces of equipment that had to do with EVP work.
And, honestly, that desk tech thing, you never really advanced with it because, you were like, it's too much work to try to hope that the sensitivity on these things were done correctly by the companies I'm working with, all sorts of things like that.
Well, I had to look it up after, and I saw, some of those pictures. I saw the cat balls and then some of those 2 microphone things. And
exactly.
I saw, some of the pictures with Dustin Perry and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. It's an interesting theory. I just know for us, it's even interesting because I know I could not build a piece of equipment. But at the same time, even if you can build equipment, are you able to build something that's knocks on command?
The device would have to move around the room as well, too. Yeah. Or you'd have to have a bunch of devices.
And you know what? I admire that people are trying to figure this out, whether you agree with us or not. We admire that. But it's just kind of funny because it's they're holding on to anything they can in certain cases. I know somebody had mentioned to us they were worried because at one point, so people were talking about how we moved at one point during the session. We swayed or we moved our leg. And I'm like, but I need to breathe. I need to move, it's
She does need to breathe. She talks too much. Okay, so what I wanted to comment on here is that he did indeed build paranormal equipment, and they're really playing it down because I actually didn't know this until I watched the Beardo video. So if you want all the information, I'm not going to be able to remember it all, but you go watch his video. Watch it anyways. He's amazing.
Yes.
Not only did he make equipment and then just tried to claim that it wasn't anything, it's still being used today. There is a group out there that is using one of his signature devices to this day. Oh. He didn't just make cat balls. He made cat balls and things to communicate. I'm throwing up air quotes. You can't see me. To communicate with the dead. So that whole thing that's just a straight up lie. That is just a straight up lie. Because if your stuff is still being used today, then clearly you were making it.
Right.
And you do.
Whether it was not mass produced or anything, you still made it.
And there was a guy, I wish I saw this a while ago. I should have wrote it down in case we'd had to do another video on these people. But there was a guy in I can't remember if it was a TikTok or a YouTube video, but this is just a guy. This isn't a paranormal person. This is just Joe Schmo somewhere in the country. He just took some kind of actuator and he made a knocking device in his living room to do this. It was literally some kind of actuator on a switch that went to your toe, and if you moved your toe, it knocked a piece of wood on the other side of the room.
Interesting.
These things aren't hard to do, and if you can get yourself in a setting that you can control, you can do whatever. That's why haunted houses exist, like Halloween haunted houses. That's how they do it. You're in their, you're on their field. So, I really felt that was important to point out is that things that he made are still being used today. So that is just a straight up lie.
One of those things where it's such a fantastical and bizarre thing that's totally not normal that actually happened, that people are going to be very inquisitive and it's going to be hard to grasp reality if this is all whatever.
Sam and Colby had a lot of unique stuff come through, and then we did too. We had stuff that blew our minds that came through. Yeah. But then they haven't done it for us yet, but someone did put together a video where they found the information that you guys are saying. They found his grandma, they found the obituaries and all this stuff. And then when after our even experience and we saw that, I actually could find some
that
of the
information.
Stuff, the cigar.
Not only did we, but we did it in a matter of the 3 minutes.
right after they were talking about it while we were still watching the Sam and Colby video.
In a matter of minutes. It was very easy to find.
Yep.
Finding information about people in a country where, we have the Freedom of Information Act is not hard.
Nope. And especially when you put yourself out there and have millions of people who follow you and subscribe to you.
Being a public figure, especially on their level, because Sam and Colby, whether you, the listener, know who they are or not, because
they're huge.
A lot of you guys might not know, especially if you're older. They're young guys. They're young, good-looking guys that young girls love. They have millions of followers.
Yep.
They are one of the biggest YouTube channels out there today, and they do this fake paranormal stuff. But they're huge. Everything about their life is online.
Yeah.
Everything.
We used to watch them. We thoroughly enjoyed watching them when they did their exploring
Their exploring videos were awesome. I mean,
super great.
They're a little not tailored for our generation, so there was a lot of cringy stuff, but it was only cringy because they're so much younger.
Yeah.
But I really did enjoy their exploring videos, and I wish they would go back to that.
I do too.
It was cool seeing all the dilapidated buildings.
Yeah, and that's how we found them. And then they started edging their way into, the paranormal side of things. And
at first it wasn't bad. I mean, it seemed legit, but
yes, it really, really did. But that fame and that YouTube, train,
that money, it's that money.
Yep.
So I mean, it's why a lot of people do it. Hey, and you can help us out. We're going to be on YouTube soon, so you can subscribe and help us get there too. But we will never fake anything.
Stuff, and then everything to do with our grandpa I could find, whether it was on the internet or my mom's Facebook page. Yeah. So what do you say to the people that think that you're researching this, memorizing it, and then making it happen?
So there's a couple points on that. For one, I wonder if, and this is just come to my head, they're obviously doing the research after watching the video. So they already have, I believe Sam's grandmother's nickname. It was a nickname we came up with, I believe. So did they search that nickname and then Sam's, because would you have found that if you just searched up Sam grandmother, say full name, then grandmother,
without having the name
without having that nickname already from the video? I wonder if you would have found it as easily.
Yes.
But
yes, you would
then
have.
It's totally okay to believe that we're, if you want to believe we're researching things. I also wonder, how would we remember that, do it without anybody ever seeing it, and then accurately
one of you have to have a, what's it called?
Photographic memory.
A photographic
That's
memory.
literally the only way.
I can barely spell my own name, so we can disprove me.
It does not take a photographic memory to pick out a few key things from somebody's life and throw them back out there. All she needed to remember was he had a grandmother, this was her name, this was her nickname, this is when she died.
And you go into the, this person from, that you've known for a very long time. And you start adding all of these little things into it that surround these tiny little details. And it turns into that.
Yeah, and you have the opportunity to become super well known if you do this right. And you're going to do it. They make it seem like we're all idiots. And none of us know, how to think for ourselves or something.
Or use the internet.
I mean, give me a heads up. I bet I could tell them a bunch of stuff about their lives too.
I mean, when Sam and Colby reached out to them and said, hey, we want to come do a video at the Conjuring House,
boom,
and we want to have you in it. Wow. There's your opportunity to look into things before things happen.
Exactly.
She's acting like they knocked on the door and walked in recording.
Yeah. Which, if you know anything about the Conjuring House, that's not true, because you have to book way in advance. It costs a lot of money, so they know you're coming.
Yep.
Right there.
Yeah, and I know there's cases that we go to where we're just brought.
There was stuff we could find, but once again, it means one of you has a photographic memory. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that is one of the theories being floated. Yeah. Because people are finding this information.
Rightfully so. That's a good theory.
It is a good theory.
Yeah, I mean that's one that would make sense. But
so there's a video going around from 11 years ago. It's on TikTok. And it's a video of you, Cody, doing an investigation. Must have been for one of the random teams you worked for. And
first team.
Oh, Attleboro, right?
Yeah.
I think the start of the video, there's a guy in there and he says something like, Cody, do the ABC thing you were doing.
Yeah.
And then you start counting the ABCs, and you guys eventually end up spelling the name Bill, and then it says yes, it's Bill.
His name like we did in the past with the alphabet.
All right. So I'm going to ask you, try figuring out your name here.
He is such a baby in this video. He's so young.
The first letter of your name, I want you to give me a knock.
And not to mention, he says, do that thing like you did in the past.
B. First letter is B. I. So is it one for yes, two for no? Is it B-I? Is it Bill? Is your name Bill? That was a flaw. That wasn't the flaw. So his name is Bill.
So there's people out there, like the big theory, other than the sisters, is like Cody's been doing this well before he met Satori.
Mastermind.
Yeah. I mean,
Was it like the clicking or the like how
With the knocks.
Same. Okay, similar.
it's definitely not as intense as what we experienced.
Yeah.
But it is weird for people. But before I even say my opinion, like what do you guys have to say to that?
So it's weird. So when things are happening like that, I mean, back then that was my first group, and when stuff happens like that, you don't think that you're part of that. It's just an experience that's happening, right? And there's been times where we've had some interactions with banging sounds and things like that, and whether I'm a part of that happening, with energy-wise.
Because that is one of those theories where you're like, okay, like he is doing the ABCs, he is getting knocks, so it's definitely, that was the one that's like, okay, I mean, I see why people are being somewhat skeptical.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you also wonder, like, was it the start of something that's now here? Because, I mean, when I was younger, I used to see things all the time. And even still now, sometimes when we do this, I'll sometimes see things.
So maybe that was just an unknown start to what's become.
I think the thing that's throwing people up is the ABC thing, because they're like, what? I thought he said he never did that, and like whatever. But I don't know. Yeah. On top of that video of the old video of knocking, there's like a couple of videos out there, people like filming their feet and like doing something in their shoe, and it's making like a tapping noise.
So if you listen carefully, you can control the loudness.
And like it kind of, it's the same people who think the Fox sisters.
Oh, joint popping stuff?
So there's there's one video of a guy like doing something, I don't know what he's doing inside his shoe with his toes, but it is like popping. It's making a weird noise. So like, would you guys be willing to do the session with your shoes off and your socks off, just to show people, like, look at our feet. We are not popping our joints.
So the first thing sort of plays into the whole I don't want to force everybody to believe, because I wonder what that would happen to society if we did that. But also another part is, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't want my foot fetished on the internet. So
maybe just for a fun treat, I will throw the picture up for like the pictures of this episode where these pictures of her feet already exist online.
Yeah, they were already posted on Instagram a while ago.
Yeah, feet out, just like she's just showing them off.
Just chilling on a beach.
I mean,
taking nice pictures.
We know that if they show us
all,
what they do, it's just going to blow our minds to the point where we're just going to not believe in anything anymore.
I can't.
So that's
I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm just completely real with you guys. I don't know, maybe there have been some people in privacy, and they can speak to it if they want to come forward and talk about it, that have seen it without shoes on. But it was a very closed, very, quiet, setting where we had privacy, things like that. Yeah. So, but that's their thing to tell. But I don't know if I'd want to do it for everybody, because then they're going to jump to the next thing that we're faking it somehow with.
Or like, what about not today, since we are running out of time, but like, would you at some point in the future, if we ever did another video, would you be willing to do it with us, or even off camera, or just to show one of us, not even all of us?
Maybe off camera.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'd have to see if the spirits would want to do it.
I think that'd be a great way, even if it's just to like us and some people so that we can come out even stronger. Like, guys, we saw it with their feet.
I saw their feet.
You're never going to please them, no matter what.
What a stupid statement. I'm sorry to be so mean, but what a stupid statement. Oh, we'll do it. Maybe.
Right.
If the spirits will allow it. Why would some dead people care if your shoes are on or off? Why would they care?
Oh,
if they're so eager to communicate with the living, why would they care if you have shoes on or not?
Right.
It makes me so mad, because like they are doing everything they can to get away from having to do any of this.
It's just one thing after another that is trying to put it all on a back burner.
I think the problem is too is like she thinks that she is pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, but she doesn't realize how ridiculous she sounds when she says a lot of this stuff. And I think even Cody thinks that she's ridiculous because he still just looks super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like
it's a very awkward thing to watch.
He looks so unhappy having to do this, but we're almost to the end, thankfully, and hopefully we won't have to do this again for a while.
You say you did or not.
But would you even like take that step, even as gross as you don't want your feet out there, like just to prove to these people? Because it is like, to me, the easiest way to disprove the joint thing is like, let's just film their feet and show you it's not their joints.
Yeah, maybe someday off camera we'd show you. Just because, again, I just am super weird about the feet. But yeah, maybe someday off camera.
Okay.
Just so that people like us can come forward and say, guys, we've seen it with their shoes off, with their socks off. It's not their joints. It'd be great, I think, to eventually put it to the test, because we're not here to obviously prove or disprove. It's not our job, and it's not your job either. But I think there are some things we could do that would be like
silence all the haters.
Silence at least the big theories.
And also, like, when we're dealing with something that's actually potentially like changing people's viewpoints on like what they've always believed in like faith, I feel like they deserve to at least like have that one thing, you know, like if you're gonna change your whole freaking faith on it, like just that one simple thing, it would be like after that you guys would literally have crossed like all the things that you guys could have possibly done. Like you guys,
it's up to the spirits, truthfully. And I know that sounds super corny and you have to be in the room to really believe it, but it really is up to them. So it's more, you know, maybe sometime in the future. I think maybe off camera.
Yeah. Nice. I think it would help, at least for us and others out there, like, might as well try just to show us. And, but we do have questions, and reading the internet, it's like, okay, there's skeptical people out there,
but it's a big deal. Like, it's people's like thoughts on the afterlife. You know, like, this is huge. Like, you are the only people that I know that have that type of ability. So it's like, it is such a big deal, like, to everyone's personal life too. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I'm like, holy cow, it like shifts people's way of thinking.
No matter what, just we're not going out of our way to prove ourselves to anybody. Believe in whatever you want, whether it's in support of us or not.
We do.
And we'll still be doing it tomorrow.
So. I mean, hey, maybe one day we'll do this barefoot thing on or off camera. It doesn't matter.
He's really trying to push me on camera.
Because that's the main theory, I think, that's got people the most. Like, well, why can't we see him with their... Because, like, if it's joint popping, the only thing that does make sense is a foot. Because it's like all your weight's on that foot. It's probably the easiest thing to pop without making much movement. So I think it would be the best test. Like,
big time.
I think we should do that at some point.
All right, so that's basically the end of the video. Now, Cody looks mad that he just said all that. He looks upset.
He does. The way they started the video and the way they ended the video are two totally different things.
And the other thing that I'm not going to play their outro. I actually encourage you to, even though we just listened to almost all of it, go watch the video, because you're going to be able to pick up on things that we just can't, portray to you over a podcast. But they do go on. Dakota goes on to say that they did agree to do this on camera, but at a later date and at a location of their choosing. What could be problematic about that? That's not going to prove anything.
Again, on their field.
How about you do it somewhere that you don't have set up already?
But that's what they did with Sam and Colby.
That's exactly what they did. So we're probably going to have to do another video on that. And I'm actually like looking forward to picking apart the next one, if I'm being honest, like, because there's just too many flaws in this. And none of it even like remotely seems real. They didn't come across. They actually made themselves look worse, in my opinion. And
the way like Chelsea was saying,
Chelsea is not convinced.
She's not, but the way she was saying, like, if they just put out there and disprove all these skeptics and all the things that
all them haters,
all the things that the people are saying, it would change their viewpoints, yes, but it would basically open people's minds. And all Satori said was, it's dangerous. What?
So stupid.
What?
It's so stupid.
I can't.
Oh, dude. It is so. You know what? where can they find us? I can't. I'm going to end up saying something that I cannot take back.
Well, they can find us on Instagram at @forthebooze_podcast and on Facebook at @forthebooze.
You can also find us on Twitter at @forthebooze. You can also find us on YouTube at @forthebooze. And don't forget that soon we will be doing videos over there. So make sure you go support us and check that out and like and subscribe and all that. You can actually follow it now. You can subscribe to it now if you'd like. And also, forthebooze12@gmail.com. If you have a listener story or a suggestion for a location that you'd like to hear, go ahead and send it into there. And one last thing, 5 stars, rate and review. It really does help the show.
It does.
I guess that's where we're going to end this one.
It
Gotta
is.
get out of here.
Well, thank you, everybody, so much for listening. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye.